Most of us make decisions about time without really thinking about it. We have these kind of internalized rules. Some of them come from childhood. It's like, this is how time was spent. We all had dinner at this time. These are ways that we interacted. These were the expectations that I had. And so we tend to carry those on, or we create our own at some point without thinking about it so subconsciously. So one time rule is like, I'm always responding. I respond to things within a certain time period, within 24 hours or whatever. And maybe, like we talked about, maybe that's helpful and maybe that's a good habit, or maybe that's actually a stressful habit that's not actually serving you that well. So what is a better habit,
Hello, and welcome to the Psychology Podcast, where we explore the depths of human potential. Today we have Chris Guillebeau on the show. Chris is an author, entrepreneur, blogger, and speaker. He initially received attention for his travel blog and book called The Art of Non-Conformity. More recently, he wrote the book Time Anxiety: The Illusion of Urgency and a Better Way to Live. In this episode, we discuss how time anxiety is more than just fear of missing out and is also different from ADHD. Chris argues that the fear of running out of time is very normal and that you have the power within you to feel better about your time. We discuss things like what is enough, and he challenges the quote gospel of efficiency in Western culture. This was a fun and informative chat with someone I've wanted to chat with for quite a while now. So without further ado, I bring you Chris Guillebeau. Hey, Chris.
Scott,
welcome to the Psychology Podcast.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have you, and I really enjoyed your new book. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Enjoyed yours as well.
Rise Above?
Yeah, it's a couple months behind me, I guess, but around the same time, right? I saw you were doing all these interviews when I was getting ready to publish.
Well, thank you. But this is about you. This interview is about you. Your new book, Time Anxiety: The Illusion of Urgency and a Better Way to Live. Can you just start off by telling our audience a little bit about you and why you wrote this book?
Yeah, of course. So, like you, I'm an author. I've been an entrepreneur. I was an aid worker for several years in West Africa. I had a project called the Art of Non-Conformity, where I went to every country in the world and started blogging about it. That's kind of how I started sharing online, going back to 2008.
I remember that. I remember you, Chris. I remember you from the Psychology Today days when I was blogging there.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Wow. How about that? That was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And then I wrote my first book with Perpetually. Actually, I saw you've been with them for several of your books. And yeah, I mean, I kind of built this like unconventional career community, sharing with them, hosting events and stuff. And as for time anxiety, I guess I felt like over the past few years, I was doing a lot of things, but also feeling kind of stressed out about it and feeling a little bit, I don't know, chronically indecisive, or, I'm doing all these things. I like the things that I do. It's not that I'm unhappy, but I also feel stressed about how I spend my time. And like, am I doing the right things? How do I decide what to do next of all the things I could do? And just as I talk with lots of people, I kind of see that this is maybe not universal, but a very common condition or experience of people just feeling distressed about time in different ways. A sense of time running out, a sense of being too late for something. There's various, aspects of it. But I just thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to like delve into it more, like for myself and ultimately for other people as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's very clear. This is part of our culture right now. That's for as long as I can remember. It's been part of this pressure to get as much done, or else you're missing out. But you clearly distinguish between this and FOMO, fear of missing out, and as well as ADHD. I'm surprised you didn't put the acronym FORT, the fear of running out of time. But that's the acronym, right? Is FORT.
FORT. Okay. Yeah. Maybe for the revised edition. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you just tell the audience a little about why is the fear of running out of time different than FOMO and even ADHD?
Sure. Well, I think the fear of running out of time, and it's like the simultaneous, like the fear of running out of time while the uncertainty over how to spend the time that we have. I think that is what time anxiety is. It's not one or the other. It's a little bit of both. And I think time anxiety occurs through like all three conditions of time. So past, present, and future. Like the past, we have some regret. We feel that maybe we should have made a different choice about something, and therefore informed the paths that are available to us now. The present, like we talked about, what do I do? How do I choose how to spend my time? And in the future, what am I ultimately working toward? Is there a sense of purpose, in my life? Whereas I think FOMO tends to relate more to the present. It's like everybody's having fun without me, or like I am missing out on something. And then, for ADHD, I think, I have experience with that. I was diagnosed as a kid and then as an adult. And the more that I've learned about ADHD and other forms of neurodivergence, the more I kind of recognize, okay, this might show up in different ways, or it might be more common among those of us who, identify with a trait or a condition like that. But also the general population, like a lot of people have, fears and concerns and distress over the role of time in their life. So it's not something that is unique to ADHD. There are parts of it like time blindness, that might show up more for people who have ADHD, but it's certainly not exclusive.
Cool. Thanks for making all those distinctions. You really, this came to prominence with you when you wrote a blog post. Isn't that right? You wrote a blog post about your experience, and you got a lot of feedback. You got a lot of comments. What are some things you discovered from those comments?
Yeah, I noticed in the comments, but then also like I did a lot of research and talked with about 1,500 people, some detailed surveys of people with different walks of life and, different ages and backgrounds and stuff. I think the thing that surprised me more than any other book project I've worked on or any other research project, the shared language. People, from these different backgrounds would say almost uncannily like the same words. And I'd say, what does time anxiety mean, to you? There was this sentence, I feel like there's something I should be doing, but I'm not sure what it is. Like there's something I should be doing right now, but I'm not sure what it is. A lot of people said that, like just verbatim almost when I talked with them individually. And also this sense of being too late for something. And I thought what was interesting about being too late is I think a lot of us might think, oh, that's something that people say at a certain generational point in their life. As you get older, you say that, but I heard that language from 17-year-olds. So it's like a 17-year-old's like, I feel like I'm too late, for something. And it's easy for those of us who are, not 17 or anything close to that. It's easy for us to kind of like dismiss them and say, oh, but you have your whole life ahead of you, but the whole point is the perception. The perception is like the perception that people have is that they've missed their chance. So those are some of the things that kind of jumped out right away. And I realized like there's a lot to this that we should look at more.
What if you have missed your chance?
I guess there's other chances. I've missed my chance to become a gymnast. Right. Or, there's certain things that you do need to do, from a young age and specialization and such. But you can dwell on the fact that, you're not going to be a gymnast at the age of 47 or whatever someone's age is. Or you can say, given all the life experience that I have acquired thus far, and there has to be some wisdom through that. Even if you acquired that wisdom by making so-called mistakes, like what's next? Like what is the chance that you can now, grab a hold of? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I love this, that you have other opportunities, but I think that there's a great relief in accepting that it's too late for some things. I think some people feel a lot of pressure. I mean, women feel a lot of pressure to have children before a certain age, right? I mean, because they're biological constraints. But, I've spoken to some women who used to be obsessed with that, and then it never happened. And, now in their 50s, and they're like, yeah, I've made peace with that. Yeah. It's like life still goes on. It's okay. Yeah. I can deal with this. There are other ways I can leave a legacy. And so, sometimes it's not as bad. You panic, maybe you miss it. And then you do realize that, life goes on,
Right.
and, there are other things you can do.
Yeah, maybe there's a grief process, that has to occur, or a process of acceptance, as you say. But ultimately, we are stressed about time because time is limited and time is short, and it is a continuous process, which is, I think, a big part of what is distressing. Once it has been lost, it cannot be regained. Unlike other resources. And so ultimately, I think, a key is, radical acceptance of it.
I want to jump right. I really enjoyed your book, and I want to shoot right to my favorite chapter, which, so I know usually you're supposed to go in order and be all like that, but I just want to shoot to which is, you have a chapter in your book called "What is Enough?" And I kind of beelined myself to that chapter because I wanted to know the answer. Because I think that spoiler, you don't give the ultimate answer once and for all. But can you explain to people first of all, why does it always feel like we're never enough, and how do you answer that question?
Yeah, well, I think let's see, what's the best starting point? Mentioned. I mentioned this thing about how do we choose, how to spend time and such, of all the things we could do. And for most of us these days, we're not working in factories, we're not working in manufacturing. We're doing some sort of knowledge work, whether it's for an organization or an education or for ourselves or whatever. So the work never ends, right? And so there's always something else to be done. You finish something, there's always something waiting. And then it's not only in our work lives, there's always, we now have access to unlimited information, right? Unlimited information, education, entertainment, edutainment. There are no limits, there are no constraints, which is exciting in lots of ways. And it's also overwhelming. And so I think, the general point is, if we don't set constraints or limits for ourselves, nobody else is going to. And so what I've found to be helpful is at the start of any day or any week or any project or whatever kind of life cycle you think in, just kind of deciding, here is what enough looks like. If I do these things, I'm going to feel satisfied. I'm going to recognize that as a point of achievement or completion, or at least a point of pausing. And then just kind of reflecting right before I just kind of go on to something else. I think we tend to get overwhelmed and burned out just because we keep going, all the time. And that's our natural tendency, at least it is for me. And so I've started to kind of what would enough be like, in this situation? If I do these things, will that be okay? I could do more, but is that sufficient? Why do you think it was you said you liked that concept. Why was that resonant to you?
Hi all, I want to take a moment to make a few important announcements that I'm really excited about. As you all know, I'm committed to helping people self-actualize. In the service of that, I just had a new book come out called Rise Above: Overcome a Victim Mindset, Empower Yourself, and Realize Your Full Potential. In this book, I offer a science-backed toolkit to help you overcome your limiting beliefs and take control of your life. Are you tired of feeling helpless? This book will offer you hope, not by identifying with the worst things that have happened to you, but by empowering you to tap into the best that is within you. Rise Above is available wherever you get your books. Are you a personal coach looking to take your coaching to the next level? I'm also excited to tell you that our Foundations of Self-Actualization Coaching 3-day immersive experience for coaches is back by popular demand. Foundations of Self-Actualization Coaching is a course offered to enhance your coaching practice by offering you evidence-based tools and insights to equip you to more effectively help your clients unlock their unique creative potential. You can learn more about the course and register by going to centerforhumanpotential.com/SAC. That's centerforhumanpotential.com/SAC. Okay, now back to the show. Because I'm low-key obsessed with this tension we often feel between doing and being. And I struggle with the optimal sense of how much during my day should I be doing and how much should I be being. And no, I like the way you frame it, and in a way, your book is like a good coaching book, because you don't tell people how to live their life, but you ask good questions, powerful coaching questions, things that really for people to really reflect on and to really think about. Even just like sitting back and just meditating to yourself, how much would be enough for me? It was a really interesting question. It's like it really got me thinking about. Like I can answer that question and then I can try to accept it. But the second after I accept it, I'm already thinking, what should I be doing next?
Sure.
It's like there's such a tendency that's built into us that when we're thinking about doing. When we're doing a lot, we think, I maybe need some rest here, need to be being.
Sure.
We're constantly wanting to be in another state is another thing too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's okay to want more, I think
That's
it's
true.
okay. Like I'm still pretty goal oriented and also like low key obsessed with like, I want to do a bunch of stuff. I mean, this is not a book on minimalism, necessarily.
No,
This is not a book on like do less. It's more like if you are type A, or you don't have to be type A, but like if you are like a person who likes to do stuff, but also feels stressed out about it sometimes. I mean, that's, like it's okay to want more, but you also might have to accept, it's like there's ways to look at all of it.
Okay, I have so many questions here for you, buddy. I thought that it was interesting that that you bring in the literature on cognitive distortions into this, because that's a topic I, as a psychologist, really care about, and I would love to know some ways in which my cognitive distortions can be hindering or accelerating what was the acronym I said? My fear of running out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. What cognitive distortions do you feel like you particularly experience? I mean, do you like personalization?
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Right.
I'm like Michael Jordan over here. That was personal.
Right. Right. Exactly. I got the meme. Okay. So you're right. Maybe feeling off that, I don't know, that this problem is unique to you or something, or, obviously you are a high performer, but you should be performing even higher, right? Like there is no sense of enough, right? You're on some sort of like treadmill, or it's, pushing the rock up the hill kind of thing. Maybe a sense of like unable to, I don't know, it's like happiness is a weird word, of course, but unable to like feel some satisfaction or contentment. It's like if one thing is done, what's the next thing? Or if something goes well, your book sells like, a whole bunch of copies, but then you look like somebody else's book, sold more copies. I mean, these are slightly different, but I do think they're all kind of connected to, to a sense of distortion around personalization.
Yeah.
So what do we do? I mean, you're the expert. I feel like you're more of an expert than me in this. I always think about like, how can we rewrite, a story, or write a different story. It's not like the other story isn't there in our heads as well, but how can we add to it? How can we think about, when I feel like the self-applied pressure, or I feel envious of someone else, or feel like my circumstances are unique, I often think like, would I want to live somebody else's life? Like, would I, maybe I feel envious of this person, but would I want to trade my life for theirs? It's not even just living someone else's life. It's trading your own life,
Love it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
sorry. Go on.
I was just going to say, like, when you trade your life for someone else, you don't just get theirs, you have to give up yours, right? You have to, like, all the experiences you've had, the relationships that you've had, the like learnings that you've had, like everything that, good and bad in your life, like no longer exists. And once I think that way, I'm like, oh, there's nobody out there that I would want to trade my life for. And that actually feels pretty good. What were you going to say?
No, I really resonate with that. And that's really helped me a lot with my, whatever jealousy of people on Instagram. And it's like, I'm like, okay, that's just one aspect of their life, but it's not, no, really, really good point. Can you tell people a little bit about this concept of time blindness? Time blindness. Yeah.
Yeah.
But why can it be so liberating if you understand it?
It's interesting. I wrote this like manifesto for the book and had the recommendations like 1 through 10. I put like first recommendation is like one of the best things you can do in your life is to allow 10 to 15 minutes more than you think you need for transitions, or, for going somewhere, leaving to meet someone, or is just kind of moving from, thing to thing in your life. And it's obviously very simple advice. But it seems to both resonate and also some people feel really uncomfortable with it, as well. And time blindness, is essentially a condition or an experience of chronically like overestimating or underestimating time. And I think it's common for people with ADHD, but I think most people don't perceive time very well. I was doing this experiment on my book tour where we would like I would like have everybody close their eyes and count to 60. And let's see how accurate, you are. And like, nobody's accurate. Everybody's off by like 15%. And so in the course of 1 minute, people are off by 15%. And so if you extrapolate, like if you're trying to keep track of time in your head, you're going to be off like all the time. Plus, it's not a very good use of your cognitive functioning. There's a lot of other stuff you should be doing, So time blindness, just like, imagining that we are going to be able to do all these different things. I have to leave for a meeting, but I'm going to try to, do one more thing before I go. And then I'm going to be late because I didn't think about the traffic or how whatever the other variable or circumstance is. And so most people who are chronically late, I think they don't like that. Like most people are like not happy with that. They know it's like stressful for them. They feel bad that they're letting other people down. And, the simplest thing they can do is just to add a little bit more time, and it will make their life a lot better. But sometimes people are resistant because they're like, what will I do with all that extra time? Which is a weird thing. But, if you are 10 to 15 minutes late all the time, you're probably not going to shift to being 10 to 15 minutes early all the time. Like you're probably going to shift to actually being like on time for things. And that's good. It's going to feel relieving.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And just in general, this fear, you talk about so many like beliefs that people have that they need to unlearn. And this, just this thought that, if I have free time, what am I going to do with it? You'll end up spending that time thinking about and what you should be doing more of. But why don't we ever think about it in terms of being like in a wonderful opportunity for being? How come people like there's not a societal kind of script that says you should free up your time so you can have more time to meditate, or you can free up your time so you can have more time to just exist and like maybe just behold with awe and wonder like your loved one or your child or I mean that's just a different framing, but it feels like that kind of I don't know. Am I making any sense?
You don't always need to have a task, I think is what you're saying, right?
Thank you for explaining what my point was. But it goes a lot back to this being versus doing thing, and I do think there are certain beliefs about I have to fill every second of the day because if I don't, what am I going to do? And it's like, well, you don't always have to do something.
Right. But do you find this also produces a conflict then? Like once you adopt this framework, you're like, okay, that's good. That's a good little tweak. But now my choice is, what's the ratio, right? Like, okay, now I'm experiencing being more, and that is good in my life. But, I also want to work on things. I want to like make things and create. Is it just an intuitive process? You kind of understand, or like here's the time for doing, here's the time for being. Is it seasonal?
Well, what I learned from your book is that a great first step is giving yourself more time. And I think there's something really beautiful about that, about figuring out how you can have more freedom and maximum possibility to choose the things you really want to choose. Because I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's like we get so busy checking things off our to-do list that we start losing our own sense of self or losing our own connection to ourself. So yeah, I like that. I want to just say I like that as a first step.
Oh, that's good. Well, I like the framing of the, the being and doing.
Yeah.
The first step is interesting because I think I wrote the rest of the book first, and then I was just talking with my editor, and it was like, man, some interesting like research and probably some good suggestions here. But like, think about the ideal reader for this book. The ideal reader is pretty distressed, and they are kind of like overwhelmed, and like we need to give them something like, what do you do right now? Like, what is something you can do to start feeling better? And I think one of the great things that anybody can do is, as you just said, like give yourself the gift of time. There's all these cliches about like time is the most precious resource, time is more valuable than money. But most of us don't really live that way. And so like, there's a whole like cottage industry of decluttering. It's like all this stuff I got to declutter from my physical space, my home, my apartment, etc. And I think that can be helpful, but like time is the thing that we're stressed about more than, like how many socks I have or how many trinkets are on my desk. So what can we do to like give ourselves time? How can we remove items from our calendar? How can we close off one of our inboxes? How can we just reframe how we think about saying yes, to people who want to hang out that we don't necessarily want to hang out with? Like it actually feels very relieving to do that.
Oh, I agree. Really well put.
Thank you.
So how can you use time rules to your advantage, not your disadvantage?
Mm-hmm. So most of us make decisions about time without really thinking about it. We have these kind of internalized rules. Some of them come from childhood. It's like, this is how time was spent. We all had dinner at this time. These are ways that we interacted. These were the expectations that I had. And so we tend to carry those on, or we create our own at some point without thinking about it so subconsciously. So one time rule is like, I'm always responding. I respond to things within a certain time period, within 4 hours or 24 hours or whatever. And maybe, like we talked about, maybe that's helpful and maybe that's a good habit, or maybe that's actually a stressful habit that's not actually serving you that well. And so what is a better habit? What is something you can do that's different?
I love it. You're kind of rewriting the roles of societal expectations around this stuff as well. I feel like you want to change culture too, don't you?
Well, I think I always focus on individuals. I focus on people. I did a lot of like work in the entrepreneurial space, and I wrote a book called $100 Startup. And part of why I wrote that book back in the day was like, there's a lot of books about startups and like companies and organizations. And I really want to focus on people, like individuals. Because that's how society changes, right? It doesn't change like top down with somebody being like, here's society, now change,
Yeah. Chris, what are you?
I don't know, Scott. I have no idea.
What are you? So if you had to say like your soul, is it an entrepreneur?
No, my soul would be
writer?
Yeah, author, a creator. I guess. Well, creator is now a word that's been like, it's kind of like influencer. I don't like that.
But you're not conformist.
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
I'm myself. Right?
But you're very unique. You're a very unique self. I think
I feel like you are too. I mean,
I was just gonna say, kindred feels like a bit of a kindred spirit.
I don't know how many Columbia like psychologists are doing mentalism, on the side, right?
No, I just feel like we both just like being nonconformists and living life on our own terms. I think that's the big thing. Is how can we live life on our own terms? And I've seen that. I've resonated with you about that since I was in grad school writing for Psychology Today and reading your blog posts.
That's so funny. That's so wild.
2008. Yeah.
Wow. And you've done 10 books, right? 10 books, so I'm only on 9. I got
11. But who's
11?
Counting? Who's counting?
Okay.
Yeah, Rise Above was my 11th. But we're not counting here. No. So that I really want to just like get to like, what is the essence of you? Like, what is,
okay. Right.
Like your books are very different from each other too.
Yeah.
So, what's like the thread that runs through like your all your work?
The thread that runs through it all is this message of you don't have to live your life the way other people expect. And I think that's
I
the
love that.
starting point. You know, it kind of goes through everything. I mean, we could say more about it, but it is also kind of self-explanatory. You know, like there's in life, you encounter all kinds of people who have expectations for you, and they have ideas, and here's what they want you to do, and good for them. You know, they can have those things, but also you can decide for yourself. And, you know, and deciding for yourself is not, by the way, like a completely selfish, you know, hedonistic approach. Like you ultimately are going to be fulfilled, you know, by doing good things for yourself and for others. Like there's very much a service component to it. But I think, you know, if you just start with that, like you don't have to live your life the way other people want you to. And also maybe there's another way. This is another like theme of like, there's one path, you know, and there's the traditional path and there are alternative paths. There are, you know, there's more than one way to do things. And you can apply that to, you know, education, relationships, spirituality, business, life, work, travel, you know, everything.
Yeah. Are you an only child?
No, I have a brother and a sister, but I'm the oldest.
Okay, you're the oldest. And like, was this part of your personality like in like middle school? Like, do you see seeds of this? Like,
yeah, well, I was kind of, I didn't have the greatest childhood. Like I had some like trauma and things. And then I didn't go to high school. I went to 1 year of high school and dropped out and later went to college.
That's it. Well, that's interesting. Look at that. Well, yo, let's double click on that.
Sure.
Well, this is the psychology podcast, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got yourself into here. Now that is so, sure. I won't go into traumas. I want to be respectful. But the fact that you only had 1 year in high, so you never graduated high school? Is that what you're saying?
No, I kind of snuck into community college. And because they're not like, you know, super checking for, you know, qualifications at the average community college. And, and then, by the time I think they realized I didn't have the high school degree, like I was doing pretty well. I actually liked college. College was very different than high school because I had some freedom. I had freedom of choice and like, oh, you can schedule a class at this time or this time. And, oh, if I want to study this, I can take that. So I liked that kind of thing. And then I transferred to like a 4-year institution. And so then I was a transfer student. So I'm like skipping the whole like high school thing. You know.
I mean, it's amazing what you've done with your life. And
I feel very fortunate. I feel I made some choices at like this early age that really led to like a branching out later, you know, and like that was the thing. If I hadn't made those choices, like my life would be very, very different. So it's not like, oh, I was so smart. It's more like I saw this opportunity and figured this one thing out. So I'm really grateful for that. And I almost did a PhD, but I came to my senses before that. So I stopped at the master's level. Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. No, I mean, look, you're such an interesting guy. I mean, I've never had you on my podcast, and you know, it's like I want to talk about your Art of Non-Conformity stuff too. It's just like, you know, I want to like fold in some of your older stuff too, because yeah, I see the thread. I also just think it's so interesting because like you're known as well in a lot of these productivity spaces. I mean, you're spoken in the same breath as James Clear and Tim Ferriss, right? And you've written books about like finding a side hustle, right? And having a startup and business and now here you are kind of writing this book about it's not like time management. It's like I feel like there should be a new word invented to describe what this book is about. Time freedom. I don't know. Time on anxiety, like not anxiety with time. You know. So, but what you're doing is you're wanting people to change the relationship they have to time. And I feel like that's the essence of this. Would you say
that is exactly the essence of it? Yes. Yeah. Like we need a different relationship with time because what we've been doing is not helpful. Like what we do is we kind of look to like the time management methods, or here's a new method of getting things done, a new method of productivity. And, you know, to tie back to where we started a while ago, it's like, well, then we get really good at doing the wrong things. Or we're like seeking relief, and ultimately all these steps that we're taking are not going to provide relief. We're just going to like get to the top of the mountain and realize like we've climbed the wrong mountain. Or we're just not ultimately going to be very good at these. Like we're going to like apply this technique, but as I said, the more you do, the more there is to do. So So you're not going to win that war.
We have a lot of mutual interests. One is I think we're both a bit neurodivergent.
Just a little.
Which probably explains our nonconformist lifestyle. I mean, I think there's got to be a correlation there between ADHD in particular, and a restlessness or a certain like adventure-seeking kind of persona. Do you agree?
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And can you tell people about this event, Neurodiversion, that you host?
We need to have you.
Can I come sometime?
I would love for you to be there next year. We just did Neurodiversion. People can learn about it at neurodiversion.org. It is a celebration of neurodivergence. I wanted to create an event unlike any other.
Amazing.
I used to have a previous event called World Domination Summit in Portland, Oregon. I did for 10 years.
Was that with Jonathan Fields?
Yeah, Jonathan was there all 10 years, like 10 years in a row.
Jonathan's my boy. Yeah.
He's one of my best friends. I talk to him almost every day.
Yeah. Tell him we talked today.
Okay, I will. Yeah, I mean, he also started in 2008, or maybe it was 2007. He started. So I did that. Yeah, so we did that previous event and loved it. It kind of came to a natural end, like during the pandemic, but I really missed hosting events. I like bringing people together and just doing things. Just doing like big things. And so I talked as I was getting more into like the neurodivergent space and ADHD space, I was talking with people and they're like, there's nothing like there's academic conferences and that's fine, but there's no like community focused event. So we just did the pilot project in Austin in March. We brought about 300 people together and we're going to do it again next year, bigger and better. And it will be in Austin again, March 20th to 22nd. Would love to have you there, or maybe the amazing Dr. Scott.
I'll do a show if you want.
Yeah. No, I totally want, actually. And we talked about it a little bit for this one, but the first one, but that was my pilot project and was like figuring it all out.
Well, that's spring break, so I don't have classes during those dates. So
Put it on your calendar.
My calendar right now. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, no, I would love to have you there. So yeah, we want to bring people together to learn, but also just to connect. And I think probably my favorite part about hosting an event like that is when people say like, I feel really seen. I feel like, there's other people here who like think the way I do or see the world the way that I do. And like I'm finding community. That's the reason we do it. So yeah, we'd love you and some of the listeners to be there as well.
Absolutely. I just think that's it's just so cool that you're doing that. And I've been a big advocate of neurodiversity before it was so cool to be an advocate.
Yeah,
of
you're an OG. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I just feel like now it's like really cool to be neurodivergent. It's like for young people, I'm a college professor, so I see what the latest trends are, and I feel like neurodivergency is trending on TikTok.
Yeah, and how do you feel about that? Like, I imagine you might have I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, you have mostly positive feelings about that, but also like obviously some caveats and.
Oh, definitely. I wrote an article recently. Aren't we all neurodivergent in quotation marks, and saying no, we're not.
Right.
Answering that question is like, no, we need to chill a little bit, because an article came out in the UK saying that everyone identifies now as neurodivergent. The word will kind of lose all its meaning if everyone is that. But we're all definitely weird in some way. That's true. But we're not all wired for ADHD or wired for autism or a whole number of things that have traditionally fallen under that umbrella. But it is an interesting question whether or not the term neurodivergent really, like, just how much we want to include under that umbrella, and that is an interesting question. I would be humbly say I do not have the answer. I do not have the answer to that. Everyone that feels weird or different, does that mean they're neurodivergent? And I don't have the answer to that, but I'm okay right now circumscribing it to a handful of social disorders and other kind of developmental situations that make you so out of the norm that it actually is a disruption to your life, as well as bringing you lots of gifts to your life.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well said. That's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Do you still travel a lot? Have you chilled at all in your exploration drive?
I have chilled a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm still traveling a good bit. I'm going to the Mideast this week. So I'll be there for a little bit. But I do this like a few times a year. I'll go on like a big trip. I used to be like once a month. I was going around, like completely around the world. And I did that for 8 years. And I still like it, but I also like not traveling. So,
do you think like it ever reached the level of like something like pathological, where like you're trying to avoid yourself?
Sure. I don't know if pathological, I don't know, but I don't know. It is compulsive, like further back a little bit. Like let's retreat from pathological and call it compulsive.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah, definitely. No, for sure.
Because I speak out of personal experience. I used to feel like wherever I was, I didn't want to be there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'd be exactly like, I need to go to England next week. I need to go to England. But then I realized it's just like wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe that's the issue. I was wondering if you had like a come to Jesus moment, like I did about that.
I don't think I had a come to Jesus moment, but I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of even knew that at the time that there was this element of I really liked the transit of it. I didn't like backtracking. I really hated backtracking. But if I was going in a direction, I mean, it was completely illogical, right? But like if I was traveling, then I felt better. But then if I stayed in England for a few days, I'm like, oh, I got to get on. Like, where's the next place? So I think that was part of it for sure. But it was also like enjoyable. It's like, well, what else was I going to do? I think that was also like a thing of like, okay, I can see that not every element or aspect of this is pure. And at the same time, some of it is. So, what am I going to do?
Yeah. And also, you really have decided you wanted to live life on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And
which I wouldn't trade for anything.
Well, it's great to get to know you better as a human. I hope you were okay that we spent the last 20 minutes talking about you.
I'm great. I wanted to talk about whatever is helpful or interesting to you and your audience. Yeah. So let's flip it sometime and talk more about you. I'd love to learn more.
Oh, thanks, Kurt. I really appreciate. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this can definitely be a to be continued situation.
Great.
But I wanted to know a little more context behind, what leads up to a book like this. This kind of book just doesn't come out of nowhere, and it's part of a long history of you trying to think of outside the box about life and outside the box about kind of societal pressures and expectations. So I see it within a larger context and ecosystem of Chris. Thanks so much cool. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast to discuss with us, and good luck with the book tour.
Awesome, man. Sounds good. Thank you.